The sun was high and bright over the small town of Cedar Creek, a place where everyone knew each other and life moved at a slow, steady pace. Birds sang from the wooden fences, and the distant sound of cattle moving in the fields added a peaceful rhythm to the day. Emma had come to this quiet town to spend her summer at her grandmother's ranch. The moment she stepped off the dusty road, she felt a sense of freedom she hadn't known in the city. The wide-open fields, the warm smell of hay, and the gentle breeze seemed to whisper possibilities she had never considered before. Emma had always been full of energy, a girl who laughed easily and found joy in small things. Her grandmother, though gentle, often warned her to be careful and respectful of the land and the people around her. But Emma's curiosity was unstoppable. Every morning, she woke up early, eager to explore the farm, the fields, and the nearby woods. She enjoyed the way the sunlight fell on the grass, turning it golden, and the way the wind made the trees dance in patterns that seemed like they had a rhythm of their own. One afternoon, Emma wandered farther than usual. She had been following a path lined with wildflowers when she noticed a figure in the distance. It was a young man, strong and steady, working with a small herd of horses. His movements were calm but confident, showing experience and care. Emma stopped and watched him for a while, fascinated. There was something about the way he handled the horses, the gentle way he spoke to them, and the careful control of his movements that made him seem almost like part of the land itself. Unable to resist, Emma approached him. Her steps were soft, but she knew he had probably noticed her already. As she got closer, she called out playfully, "Hurry up and lie down." She laughed as she gestured toward the soft grass nearby. It was meant as a teasing joke, something to make him smile. She didn't expect him to take her seriously. Luke, the young cowboy, paused and turned to look at her. There was a quiet strength in his eyes, calm and observant. He did not laugh or scoff at her teasing. Instead, he offered a gentle smile and approached her slowly, with a kind of care that made Emma feel safe immediately. He reached out, taking her hand lightly, and guided her to the soft grass, as if she were something precious he wanted to protect. There was a calmness in his presence that was almost magical to Emma. She felt her heart beat a little faster, but not out of fear, out of curiosity and surprise at the gentleness in a man so strong. They sat side by side, watching the sun beginning its slow descent behind the hills. Luke spoke first, his voice steady and warm. He told her about life on the ranch, about early mornings, hard work, and the small joys that came with living close to nature. Emma listened closely, fascinated by his stories. He spoke of the horses with respect and affection, of the way the wind carried messages, and of the quiet satisfaction of a day well spent. Every word he said carried a sense of honesty and simplicity that Emma had rarely encountered in the city. Emma found herself teasing him again, but in a lighter way this time. She asked questions about the horses, about the land, about the little routines he followed each day. Luke answered patiently, never rushing her, explaining things in a way that was easy to understand but full of depth. It was clear that he had a lot of experience, and that he valued both the land and the creatures living on it. Emma admired him more and more with each story he told. As the sky turned shades of orange and pink, Emma realized how long they had been sitting together. She had expected a short encounter, a playful moment, but it had turned into hours of conversation and laughter. Luke's calm presence had a way of slowing time, making the world feel gentle and safe. She felt a warmth she could not explain, a feeling that perhaps this encounter was not just a coincidence. Luke noticed Emma's fascination and offered to show her more of the ranch. With her eyes sparkling, Emma agreed, eager to learn and explore. He led her through the fields, explaining the different types of grasses, showing her the way to care for the horses, and pointing out the paths that led to hidden spots where wildflowers grew in abundance. Emma followed him closely, laughing when she stumbled on the uneven ground, and Luke was always there, steadying her with a gentle hand, guiding her without making her feel clumsy or small. During their walk, Emma asked about his life outside the ranch. Luke shared stories of his childhood, of his family, who had lived on the land for generations, and of the lessons he had learned from them. He spoke of the importance of respect, patience, and hard work, and Emma felt herself inspired by the way he lived with such integrity. It was not just the physical strength that impressed her, but the strength of his character, the calm wisdom that guided every action he took. By the time they returned to the starting point near the horses, Emma felt a connection that went beyond words. She realized that her playful teasing had opened the door to something much deeper, a sense of trust, respect, and admiration. She felt comfortable with Luke in a way she rarely did with strangers. His presence was calming, his words sincere, and his actions gentle, making her feel valued and safe. As the evening settled in, Luke and Emma sat once more on the soft grass. The sun had disappeared behind the hills, leaving the sky painted in shades of deep blue and purple. The first stars began to appear, twinkling faintly in the distance. Emma leaned back, feeling the softness of the earth beneath her and the steady presence of Luke beside her. She realized that this summer was going to be different from any other she had experienced. It was not just about visiting her grandmother's ranch. It was about discovering something new in herself, about learning to see the beauty in simplicity, and about experiencing a connection that felt rare and precious. Emma looked at Luke, and for a moment, there were no words. She realized that this was the start of a friendship, maybe even something more built on trust, kindness, and the gentle strength of a man who lived in harmony with the land. Luke's hand rested lightly near hers, not demanding, not rushing, just being there. It was a presence that spoke louder than words ever could. As they parted that evening, Emma felt a mixture of excitement and curiosity. She couldn't wait for the next day, the next conversation, the next adventure on the ranch. What had started as a playful, teasing moment had turned into something meaningful. She realized that sometimes, the simplest gestures, a hand held gently, a story shared, a quiet moment in the sun, could leave the deepest impact on a person's heart. And in that quiet moment, Emma understood that this summer was going to be one she would never forget. The next morning, Emma woke to the soft light of the sun spilling into her grandmother's room. The distant sound of horses moving in the stables reached her ears, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh grass and wildflowers. She felt a sense of excitement she could not explain. Yesterday's encounter with Luke, the cowboy, had stayed in her mind. She wondered what adventures the day might bring, and felt a quiet anticipation as she got ready to explore the ranch again. After a simple breakfast, Emma made her way toward the fields, her curiosity guiding her steps. The moment she arrived, she saw Luke already at work, guiding the horses along a narrow path. His movements were smooth and confident, as if he had been born to this life, and his calm presence seemed to make the horses feel safe. Emma's heart beat a little faster as she approached him. She felt eager to tease him, as she always did, but also wanted to learn from him and share in his quiet strength. "Hurry up and lie down," she called out playfully as she pointed to a patch of grass nearby, giggling as she imagined his reaction. Luke turned to her with a soft smile, his eyes calm and warm. Without a word, he walked toward her and extended a hand, helping her carefully to the ground. This time, however, he held her hand longer, almost protectively, as if he wanted to make sure she felt safe. Emma could feel the gentle strength in his touch and the quiet patience in his presence. It was a feeling she had never experienced before, a sense of being truly cared for without any words. They sat together in the grass, watching the horses grazing in the distance. The sunlight created patterns on the ground through the leaves of the trees, and Emma felt a peaceful calm settle over her. She asked Luke questions about the horses, the ranch, and the work he did every day. He answered patiently, explaining everything in simple words, showing her the ways he interacted with the animals and why each action mattered. Emma listened carefully, fascinated by his knowledge and his deep respect for life around him. After a while, Luke suggested that they take a walk along one of the trails behind the ranch. Emma eagerly agreed, feeling a thrill at the chance to explore with him. As they walked, he pointed out small details she might have otherwise missed. A patch of flowers tucked behind a rock, a bird's nest hidden in the branches, and even the tracks of a deer that had passed through the area. Emma noticed how he seemed to notice everything around him, how his mind was always aware of the world, and she admired his careful attention. During the walk, Emma teased him lightly again, laughing at small jokes and playful remarks. But Luke responded not with annoyance, but with a gentle humor and a warmth that made her feel comfortable. He seemed to enjoy her energy and spirit, and at the same time, his calm nature balanced hers. She realized that their personalities fit together in a way that felt natural, like two pieces of a puzzle. At one point, they came to a small creek with clear, sparkling water. Luke showed Emma how to carefully step across the rocks without slipping. He guided her hand in his, steadying her as she made her way across. When she reached the other side safely, she laughed and thanked him, feeling a mixture of joy and admiration. "You're always so careful," she said playfully. "I just want you to be safe," he replied softly, his eyes kind. There was a sincerity in his words that made Emma feel valued and understood. She realized that his strength was not just in his muscles or skill with the horses, but in the way he cared for those around him. It was a quiet, steady strength that made people feel protected and appreciated. As the day went on, Emma and Luke continued their explorations. They visited a meadow filled with tall grass and wildflowers, where Luke showed her how to identify different plants and flowers. Emma asked endless questions, curious about everything, and Luke answered with patience, never rushing or dismissing her. She noticed how his voice seemed to make everything feel calmer, how his presence created a sense of peace that she found comforting. Eventually, they returned to a shaded spot near the edge of the ranch. Emma lay down on the grass, laughing as she remembered her teasing words from earlier. "Hurry up and lie down." This time, Luke joined her, sitting beside her with a gentle closeness that felt almost sacred. He didn't make any sudden moves or try to force anything. Instead, he let their closeness be quiet and natural. Emma could feel the calm in him, like a steady river flowing beside her. They stayed there for a long time, talking about simple things, the beauty of the sky, the soft rustling of the leaves, the way the light shifted as the sun moved across the sky. Emma felt a deep connection forming, a sense of trust and understanding that went beyond words. She realized that Luke had a rare quality. He could make someone feel safe, respected, and cared for, simply by being himself. As evening approached, the sky turned soft shades of orange and purple. Emma watched the colors reflect in the water of the nearby creek, feeling a sense of wonder. She glanced at Luke and noticed how quietly strong he was, how patient and kind, and how he had a way of making her feel important without even trying. She smiled, realizing that the teasing and playful moments had grown into something meaningful, something real. Luke noticed her thoughtful expression and reached out, gently taking her hand. It was not a grand gesture, but simple, calm, and reassuring. "I'm glad you're here," he said quietly. Emma felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling of safety and happiness that was hard to describe. It was as if this simple summer day had created memories that would last forever. Emma leaned back slightly, letting the gentle breeze and the soft sound of the creek surround them. She realized that she was learning something important from Luke: the value of patience, care, and the quiet strength of being present. It was not about rushing or showing off. It was about listening, observing, and respecting the world around her. As night fell, they walked back toward the ranch together, the stars beginning to twinkle in the sky above. Emma felt a deep sense of gratitude for the day, for Luke's gentle guidance, and for the playful teasing that had brought them together. She understood that their bond was built on trust, respect, and a shared sense of wonder. It was a connection that was simple yet profound, playful yet serious, and Emma felt fortunate to have experienced it. Before parting for the night, Luke offered to meet her again the next day to continue exploring and learning about the ranch. Emma agreed eagerly, feeling a happiness that came not from excitement alone, but from the quiet certainty that she had found someone special, someone who respected her, cared for her, and shared in the joy of simple, meaningful moments. As Emma walked back to her grandmother's house, she reflected on the past 2 days. The playful teasing that had started it all had grown into something deeper. She realized that the gentle, steady cowboy had taught her about patience, respect, and the quiet beauty of connection. She knew that this summer would be different from any other she had experienced, full of lessons, laughter, and moments that felt sacred. And as she lay down that night, looking out at the moonlit fields, Emma felt a sense of peace and anticipation. She could not wait for the next day, the next adventure, and the next moment with Luke, the cowboy who held her gently like a prayer. The teasing words that had started it all had opened the door to a summer full of discovery, trust, and a quiet, lasting bond.